Google Slides. How do you make your ideas come to life? Let's talk about that today. Let's learn a little bit about the foundations of creating a slideshow, and we'll spend a little bit of time talking about how to make a good slide design as well to get your ideas across. First, start off by going to slides.google.com or go to Google Drive and click on New Google Slides, or however else you create a new slideshow. Let's start Google Slides right there. Now, before we get started, just a word about design. Some of us are pretty picky about this, and we'll talk about some good ways as you're designing slides, both for teachers and for students, and for anybody, how to really design a good slide. First of all, be clear. Whatever is on your screen, it should be very clear to your audience what you're talking about. If there's too much happening on the slides, and I'll admit in this training video you're going to see some of these slides have a lot going on, but the value is to have the slides just be very, very clear. The idea is you don't want your slide to become so distracting that the people stop listening to you as the presenter. Sometimes we call a PowerPoint presentation or a Google Slides presentation, we say that's the presentation. Well, not really. What you're presenting is the presentation. This is simply the visual aid. So whatever is on screen, we need to be very, very clear. Look professional. You know, it's easy to kind of throw everything together, but realize that when you do have visual aids up, a little bit of extra polish really adds to your presentation. If your slides look credible, you come across as more credible as well. Now, when it comes to putting colors on screen, I see a lot of students like this blue, dark blue, and black. They look kind of cool together, but when it comes to projecting onto a screen from a projector, this low contrast is very, very hard to read on people's eyes. So we would recommend having high contrast. Now, the word contrast, sometimes we think of compare and contrast. Contrast means to show the differences between something. When we're talking about colors and light, it's pronounced contrast, and it's the difference between light and dark. We want high contrast, not low contrast. Red and black also, hey, these colors look really good together, and on the screen that you're probably watching this on, looks good. But in a light room where you can't get it dark enough, some projectors just aren't that bright and some are a little blurry, red and black somehow looks really muddy. I'd highly recommend against using these color schemes right here. Well, same thing goes for some of the ugly colors as well. You don't want ugly colors. You don't want eye-searing hues and shades. Go easy on your audience. Uh-oh, what's wrong with this poor puppy? This is animal abuse right here. As you can see, I took a small image and I stretched it a little too big, and it's pretty pixelated, right? So if you're going to have a small image that you just must use, keep it small. If you really want to have a large image filling the screen, take a little bit of time and find an image that is high resolution and also you have the rights to use. They're out there. When it comes to a great image like this, wow, that's pretty cool, but can you read this? Can you even see what's being said right here? Don't place text over photos. This is hard to read. A lot of times people do this. Well, some options for this are to darken the photo enough so that the text, maybe standing out in white, really pops out. Or put the text inside of a text box on top of a photo, but typing directly over a over a photo is very problematic. Oh, another word about images. The tallest building in America here reduced to just kind of a lump in the New York City skyline right there. I squeezed it a little too short. Same thing goes for my sumo wrestler here. And that's a tall, slim gentleman, if I do say so myself. These are inappropriate proportions for these photos. So make sure that we're keeping the aspect ratio, which is the dimensions of height and width, preserved. We want to keep the aspect ratio appropriate. Same thing goes with alignment. We've got a lot of pictures just kind of floating around. Maybe we've got text boxes that are just kind of floating. what Google Slides offers, and I'm going to go out to my editing mode right here, you can actually align things to guidelines on the screen. This right here, right there, that is dead center on my slide right there. And I can move that. Then this one, ooh, notice I can even see like how wide. You know, it's still not great, but it looks a lot better than it did. I'd recommend that you keep everything nice and aligned. Now, we've talked about design. Let's talk now about some of the tools. This is the nitty-gritty approach to learning Google Slides. If you already know some of these, feel free to fast forward, but I think this is a really good foundation for those of us who might be new to Google Slides. When you first go to Google Slides, you might see the templates option right here. Well, you can choose a bunch of different types of slide presentations. Now, this is not just for being a visual aid in a slideshow. You can use this for a bunch of different pursuits. You can have lesson plans and book reports, as you see. You can do a photo album in here. I'm going to show you some near the end of this lesson, ways that you can make a choose your own adventure story or a math quiz. You can use Google Slides for a lot of things, not just for a visual aid. So we're going to click on that little plus right there, and we'll start a blank presentation. Now, when you go to a blank presentation, you will see, if you've used Google Apps before, you'll see this looks pretty familiar up at the top. We've got a file name right there. Always give your file a file name immediately so it doesn't say untitled doc or untitled presentation. Always give it a file name. Along the left side here, we have our slide manager, where you can see what all of our slides look like, and you can navigate between different slides as you're creating them. Down here at the bottom, I just want to introduce this, but we'll see this a little bit later with the speaker notes, where as a presenter, you can have notes on your screen while your audience, through the projector, sees your slide. Now, just like the other Google apps, we have up here File, Edit, View, Insert, Format. That's what's called the menu bar. And right below that is the toolbar. Now, the menu bar is words, and when you click on each of those words, it opens a new menu. The toolbar is a row of icons that have one purpose-built tool. This might seem confusing, but I think there's value in being precise about our language here. The menu bar opens menus. The toolbar gives you one fast tool, one fast action. Over in the top right corner, there's your present button and also the share button. Just like in Google Docs, you can collaborate on a slideshow with your coworkers. Now, when you come over to, when you start your blank slide presentation, you can choose different themes. Now, these different themes are light and dark and blue and orange and all these things. They're not that great. However, there are places online that can give pre-made design themes. One of them is called slidescarnival.com. Slidescarnival.com. Highly recommended. It takes any basic slideshow and kicks it up a notch. Really, really well designed, and they're free, which is really good. So use themes. As you can see, I've got this one right here. I've got a little bit of blue, a little blue gradient, and I have my Google colors in this bar right here. I created this theme by myself. Nothing fancy, but it kind of brings all of my slides together. Now, when you have a blank slide presentation, in the top left corner, you have a little plus. The little plus allows you to add a new slide. But if you hit that little downward arrow right next to that plus, this gives you the choice of different layouts. And again, you can create all of these on your own. It's not very hard, but why not take advantage of the speed of having these layouts already done for you. All right, let's talk about text boxes. Text boxes are very, very important. You can't actually have text on a slide unless it's in a text box. That's just the way it works. It's not like a Google Doc where you can just start typing on the white space on the paper. You actually have to have a text box in here. Now, you can have different looks, right? There's the transparent text box, which is kind of the default. When you move it around, you can see that it's kind of shaped like a rectangle, but The background is transparent. You can have color fill with a solid color. I have here semi-transparent. That's kind of cool. You can rotate. I'm going to show you how to do this in just a moment. If you want to have your text slightly canted a little bit. Or you can add text to any shape, circles, squares, triangles. If you just double click inside of the shape, you can just start typing. So what I'd like you to do right now is if you haven't opened your Chromebook yet or opened your computer, anytime you see one of these yellow explosive callouts right here, I'm going to have us do a little activity together. So if you can open your Chromebook right now, and here's our challenge. What I would like you to do is make a text box, put your name in it, and then change the color. So let's try this. I'm going to come up here to the little text box icon. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to type my name. Yeah, looks all right. What I can do, if I double click and highlight my name, and I'm going to choose a really fancy font, Sacramento. That's pretty cool looking. And I'm going to choose 96. Oh, wow, that looks great. Looks like my cursive lesson from 3rd grade. Well, I haven't written that nicely since 1986. All right, now I do have to have a fill inside of here. Now I can center, and I can put it kind of in the middle of the text box, but the instructions say I need to change the color. So I'm going to make this, boy, I really like this color right there. Oh, you know what? I was clicking on the A, I changed that. Oh, to do a fill, I have to come over here. We'll talk about this a few slides later, but to change the fill color, click on this little paint bucket right here, and all right, I'll make this. Oh, hey, that looks kind of nice. And I can move that around. I'm going to center it using my, there it is, dead center right there, using my guidelines. Pretty nice. All right. Now that we've had a chance at doing our first challenge, let's go back and learn a little bit more about Google Slides. Shapes. On this little shapes icon that you see in your toolbar right there, you click on it. It gives you menus of different shapes right here. Some of these shapes are kind of basic, and you can kind of resize them. You can make a circle into an oval. To keep it a perfect circle, as you're kind of stretching it out, you can hold down your Shift key, and it always keeps it as a perfectly square circle right there. Very nice. But some of these other ones, like the smiley face and just a few of the others, they have a little diamond handle on these, a little yellow diamond, where you can adjust the shape slightly. So in my smiley face, there's a little diamond handle on the mouth, and I can adjust it a little bit and make it smile or frown. Pretty cool. Notice what I did here. I put a shape across, and I made it semi-transparent, so it almost looks like a highlighter right there. This one right here is a circle with a transparent fill and a red outline. Now, when we talk about our colors here, we talked about this just a moment ago, we click on our little paint bucket right there, and I can choose from all of these choices right here. This is what they give me. But if I want to make custom colors, I click down here in custom, and now, boy, I can move this little circle over, and I can get just that perfect color. I can make it lighter or darker, and if I slide this up and down, I can make it more or less transparent. So if I want to make a semi-transparent text box, or that green highlight like you saw on the last slide. This right here with the hashtag FF000OFF, that's the HTML code for red right there. If you have a certain color that you're trying to keep to, you can actually find the code for that color and paste it in, and it'll make that color for you. Now, when it comes to images, we always want to look for this little picture that looks kind of like a mountain scene right there. I highly recommend that you choose large, really bright, vibrant images, high resolution so they don't look pixelated or grainy. And also, if you can, stretch images to the edges. It just makes it look really finished. Now, what it looks like on the toolbar, you just have a little image, your icon right there that looks like the mountains right there. Click on there, and it opens up a menu. Or in the menu bar, you can click on Insert, Image, Upload from Computer, Search the Web, insert your own pictures from Drive or Google Photos. You can actually take a picture of yourself with your webcam on your laptop or Chromebook. You can put in a lot of different images here. What should you use, the toolbar or the menu bar? It's up to you. They're exactly the same. But just like with most of our Google apps, there's 4 or 5 different ways to do any one thing, which is fine. Now, once we have our pictures down here, we can change them slightly. The crop button, which is in your toolbar, you have to click on an image to see the crop button show up in the toolbar. But the crop allows me to slide left, right, top, or bottom, and I can crop someone out of the image. So if mom is mad at dad, she can kind of crop him out of the family photo. Now, the other idea is something called mask. Now, this is kind of cool. Crop really retains the dimensions of the photo, usually a rectangle. What mask does is it cuts it out into a shape, a heart, a lightning bolt, circle, triangle, whatever. So let's do this right now. Here's our next challenge. Crop this image, crop the blue and orange bears out of the picture. Oh boy. And as you can see, I have a typo, so I'm going to fix that right here on video here. Crop the blue and orange bears out of the picture and then mask it into a circle. All right, so what I do is I click on the image, and now my toolbar shows up. Click Crop Image, and I have to crop out the orange and blue here. So I'll do that, and I'll do that. Then I hit Enter. They've disappeared. They're still there. If I click on that image, I can still readjust it. They're not gone for good, but now I just don't see them. And if I want to mask the image, there's a little drop-down arrow right next to crop. Kind of hard to see, but I can mask it into a shape. I'm going to mask it into a circle. Now when I hit the Enter key, kind of cool. All right, let's go back. The Explore tool, this is something that's come out just within the past year or two in Google Slides. Really nice little feature. The Explore feature, you're able to search the web or search images or search Google Drive directly from the Google Slides screen, which means you don't have to open a new tab and do a Google search or open Google Drive in another tab. You have access just on the right side of your screen. So if I were highlighting a word, any part of text, I'm searching for whales or baseball, or in this case, La Cañada, I highlight the word, I right-click, and I click Explore La Cañada. This icon that you see up here, kind of a little 4-pointed star, also usually lives down in the bottom right corner of your screen. So if I didn't use this right-click, I can just highlight the word and click on the icon in the bottom right corner. Let's talk about links. Oftentimes in a public speaking situation, we don't really use a lot of links on our slideshows. However, Google Slides is so much more than that. So I think there's value in talking about how to use hyperlinks. First of all, the link icon looks like a little chain link right there. And you don't ever want to have a link in a slideshow that looks like this. It's messy. It looks kind of like you just pasted something in there. And to be honest, the utility of this is someone actually going to say, oh, okay, let me copy that down. https://docs.google.com/. Nobody's ever going to write that down. So you don't really need that. The way the internet works, people click on things. So let's make these things, when we click on them, make them look actually like we want them to look. So this now, instead of clicking here, I can actually type the word slide presentation. It is linked to go to this URL, but it looks nice. So let's talk about how to do that. Here's our next challenge. I want to make this La Cañada Unified School District icon, when I click it, I want it to link to the school district website. So here's how I do it. Oops. I click on the image, and I have a few options here. One is in my toolbar, I can click Insert Link, or I can click Insert Link. Or I can right click and I don't have that. I can also use my keyboard shortcut and hit Control K. Does the same thing. So I just so I can follow what we were talking about, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on my Insert Link button, and I'm going to type in the URL. Type in the URL where I want this image to direct to, then I will click Apply. So now when I click Present, all I have to do is click on this image. I can click anywhere else, oops, and it direct takes me to my next slide. However, if I click on this image, it takes me to the La Cañada Unified School District website. All right. So now let's talk about sharing. Now this is what really sets Google Slides apart from PowerPoint, is some of these collaborative features. Adding comments. This is very, very important. Just like in Google Docs, you can add comments to your coworkers. This is something that you can do. It works slightly differently in Slides. Rather than just highlighting text and then that little comment icon showing up in Google Docs, you have to actually click on this. Click on any element, so maybe it's a text box, or maybe it's a shape or a photo. Then you have to click the comments button. And here you can give comments to your coworkers. This just goes out to anyone who's looking at the slideshow. So maybe I've shared this with my 5 friends, and I put in a comment and I just put it out there, hey, friends, this looks really good. However, if I want to direct it to a specific person, then you type plus, and then type the person's email address. Now, if they're in your school domain directory already, it might automatically show up, or you might have to actually type out their entire email address. So in La Cañada, we would type plus your email at mylcusd.net. When I click comment, it not only puts their name and email address inside of the comment, it actually generates an email to my coworker's inbox that says, hey, you've just been mentioned in a comment on this document. You might want to go take a look at it. So now they know, oh, someone's talking to me. I'm going to go there and address this comment. I really like this direct mention feature inside of the comments. There's also, when you use the plus email feature, there's also a little box that says assign to this person. That means that the person has to do something, and then they click finished, and then if you made the comment, you get an email back that says this person solved the issue. All right, so let's try this out right now. What I would like us to do is highlight the picture, and then add a comment, and in the comment section, I would like you to record a sentence or two describing what's happening in the photo. So let's try this together. So I click on the photo, and I click on my comment icon right there. Comment. In this photo, this overly large family is bursting out of their car. Must be European. All right, that looks like a pretty tiny European car, right? I click comment, or if I do this, plus, I can add that. So now when I press comment, this person will get a copy of this comment. I can actually even say assign to, and the person will actually have to go in and complete this and then let me know. So I'll click assign. So there we are. So I have just added a comment about this image right here. Now, presenter notes. These are some things that not everyone uses. Now, there's some different ways to use this. As an actual presenter, if you're using this for a slide presentation, what you can do is click all of your notes. Rather than looking at a sheet of paper, you can actually have all of your notes on just on your screen right down here below. And so then the audience sees your slide, but what you see is this. You see all of your notes up on your screen, what your previous slide was, what your next slide will be. Very, very nice for presenters. But there are other ways that you can use this. For a teacher in a class, maybe the teacher says, all right, I just want you to have images up on screen that you're going to be describing in class. And then all of the notes, everything you've learned about this image, you can have down here. Maybe the teacher could grade all of the content in the notes right there. I've even seen different activities where students have to leave collaborative activities where they have to leave comments for each other and almost have a conversation down in the notes about what they're seeing up on screen. Then it's really not about a public speaking opportunity. It's not a presentation. We're really using this as almost like a learning management tool at that point. Google Slides is very, very powerful to do that. When you share, as you know, just like all of our other Google apps, you can share with others and you can give them rights. Can they view it only, just to see it? Can they comment on it? Or can they actually be co-workers, collaborators on this project? A few more things. Just want to show you a few more. This is something I've been working on. Imagine this. I just used my shapes tool, and I've been finding shapes that look like states. Kind of cool. Oklahoma's pretty perfect. Ohio, pretty good. And the cool thing is what I can do is I can hyperlink these shapes to go to a website. Now maybe I'm going to colorado.com, or maybe I'm clicking onto a link to my state report that I just created. It goes to my Google slideshow or my Google Doc that I just wrote. Now once it is linked as a color, just like Wyoming right here, then you can go in. I'm going to go into my paint bucket, a little fill color right there, and I can make it transparent. It's still there. It's still hyperlinked. And now when I click on present, and I click on Colorado here, it takes me to this other website. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. I think that's kind of fun. And so another way to use this, maybe I'm doing a slideshow about the bones. Now here you can see I've made these semi-transparent just so you can see them. But this right here, notice when I go over the femur, it turns into a little clicky Mickey Mouse hand right there. If I click on this bone, as opposed to maybe the patella, if I click on the femur, it takes me to my report about a femur that I totally didn't just copy from Wikipedia. Think about how you can use these transparent linked boxes. It's kind of fun. There's some other things you can do too. What about making a choose your own adventure story? Now this also uses hyperlinks, where you can link. Remember we did this, we linked out to another website. But instead of linking out to the internet, now we can link to other slides in this presentation. So now I choose. Once upon a time, there was a girl who was walking up to a large castle. Does she go in? Oh yeah, okay, I'm going to click on there. If I click here, it's going to take me to the walking in slide. As she walked into the castle, she noticed a small child crying in the corner. Should she comfort the child or keep walking down the long hallway? Comfort the child, or I'm going to keep walking. Students always keep walking. The girl walked past the castle. She stared at the tallest tower, wondering if she'd made the right decision. She didn't have long to think, though. As she was looking up, she didn't notice the steep cliff dropping off in front of her. The end. Uh-oh, I need to restart. Okay, once upon a time, now I can make a different decision, right? To do this, check this out. I clicked on here, and my hyperlink, when I clicked on hyperlink, I now have an option to slides in this presentation. And I'm going to go to slide 40. Apply. So now this button is linked to slide 40 right there. You can also do a math quiz. This is kind of fun. 1 plus 1 equals 11. Wait. I have this linked to the wrong slide. This should link to slides in this presentation, slide 44. Apply. Now let's see if I did it right. What is 1 plus 1? 11. Incorrect. I'll try again. What is 1 plus 1? 2. Correct. Hey, that's kind of cool. Now we can do some activities right here. Create a one-slide promotion for your school. Use photos, text boxes, really big, bold words. Show the world how great your school is. Well, if I wanted to do this, I actually wanted to make a handout or a poster. I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm going to make a new presentation here. Now, as you can see, these slide presentations are always made for the screen, not necessarily for a piece of paper. But you can change that. I'm going to go into File, Page Setup. I'm going to make this custom. I'm going to say 8.5 by 11 inches. Check this out. Now I can actually make a really cool poster using Google Slides with shapes, photos, and text boxes. If you are frustrated that Google Docs isn't as good as Microsoft Word when it comes to designing posters or worksheets or whatever, this is your solution right here. Use Google Slides, adjust the size to 8.5 by 11, make your awesome poster or awesome map or awesome worksheet or whatever, and now when you print, it comes off as a perfect sheet of paper. Google Slides is really one of the coolest tools in the Google Suite because it can do so much. Make a video game, make a choose your own adventure story, make a poster, and make a slideshow. This is Google Slides. I encourage you to have some fun, dig around, play, make something awesome, and share it with the world.